am not just a body, I am the ancestral claimant of the forest. Ancestors and their claims do not die. I too cannot die. No one can evict me from the forest. We, the children of the soil, will shake this world to its core. Ulgulan means immense uproar, the Great Tumult. These lines, written in memory of Birsa Munda, assert that Birsa Munda's movement, Ulgulan, continues even in the second decade of the 21st century. Ulgulan is a movement. It is the movement of the Adivasis to claim their rights over water, forest, and land. But what is the real reason behind the opposition to religious conversion? How this struggle called Ulgulan, and how just 700 Adivasis forced the British authorities to kneel. How the Adivasis, by wearing the sacred thread, adopting vegetarianism, and raising the slogan of one God, posed a major challenge to the missionaries. We will go through each of these points one by one. Hello, I am Harpreet Kaur. This is about November 1897. After spending a full 2 years and 12 days in jail, a tribal boy was being released. 2 of his companions were with him. One was Donka Munda and the other was Majia Munda. They too were being released along with him. The 3 of them were walking together towards the main gate of the jail. The jail clerk handed them a small bundle of clothes along with their release papers. The young tribal boy glanced at his old belongings and was a bit troubled to see that his sandals and turban were missing. When the boy asked where his companion's sandals and turban were, the jailer replied that on Commissioner Forbes's orders, they were not allowed to give him his sandals and turban because only the upper castes, landlords, and moneylenders were permitted to wear sandals and turbans. Before this, even with the tribal boy, the boy gestured with his hand for them to stay quiet, and when they took their belongings and stepped out of the jail gate, about 25 people were standing there to welcome them. As soon as they saw the boy, they raised the slogan, "Victory to Birsa Bhagwan." The boy said, "None of you should call me God. In this struggle, we are all equals." Then one of the boy's companions said, "We had given you another name as well. From now on, we will call you Darti Aba." Who was this god of the Adivasis, Birsa? And why was he given the title of Darti Aba at such a young age? Let's understand the story. The year was 1874, back when there was the Bengal presidency. Within this presidency, there was a place called Ulihatu, which today falls in the Khunti district of Jharkhand. In Ulihatu, in a family that worked as sharecroppers for a landlord, Sognya Munda and his wife Karmi had a son. They named him Birsa. His full name became Birsa Munda. As he grew a little older, he went to live with his aunt for his studies. The family was influenced by Christian missionaries, so he was enrolled in a German Christian mission school in Chaibasa. During this period, both the German Lutheran and Roman Catholic Christians were running land movements. One day, while preaching at the Chaibasa mission, a priest elaborated in detail on the doctrine of the kingdom of God. Birsa was present as a listener during this sermon. The priest said that if they remained Christians and continued to follow his teachings, their confiscated land would be returned to them. This deeply shocked Birsa as well as the other people. At that very moment, Birsa sharply criticized the priest and the missionaries in very harsh words. As a result, Birsa was expelled from the school. In fact, before this, the British had already passed the Indian Forest Act of 1882, which deprived the tribals of their rights to the forest. The British government began imposing its own systems on the tribals. By implementing the zamindari system, the British targeted those villages where the tribals practiced collective farming. They divided the land among landlords and middlemen, introducing a new system of revenue collection, and thus began the exploitation of innocent tribals by the British, so-called landlords and moneylenders. Meanwhile, Birsa grew from childhood to adolescence and then to youth. He began to ponder the reasons behind the poverty of the tribals and to think of ways to resolve their problem. Taking advantage of the illiteracy of the tribals, the village landlords and moneylenders would entangle them in unethical interest rates and gradually seize their land. The debt of the tribals kept increasing day by day. In fact, this is exactly what the moneylenders wanted, that the tribals' debt would grow so they could have the land registered in their own names. Then, the tribals would work in the fields, carry their palanquins, and even their naive children would guard the fields for free. And that's exactly what happened. The tribals became slaves on their own land. Their condition went from bad to worse. Christianity began to be imposed on them, and efforts were made to convert them. They were tempted with the promise that whoever converted to Christianity would be given rightful ownership of their land. By the year 1895, Birsa was about 19 years old, and at this young age, he launched a struggle not only against the zamindari system and revenue policies imposed by the British, but also against religious conversion and the fight for forest land. Birsa also declared war against the exploitative moneylenders. This was not just a rebellion. It was a struggle to protect tribal identity, autonomy, and culture, and this struggle was called Ulgulan. The slogan raised was, Abwa Raj Hetejana, Rani Raj Tundujana. Let our rule come, let the rule of the Queen end. The Munda rule has begun, and the rule of the Queen has ended. Birsa Munda instructed his people not to pay any taxes to the government, and in response to religious conversion, Birsa declared Vedic rules that we will not touch meat, alcohol, tobacco, or bidis under any circumstances. In clothing, we will use only plain white cotton fabric. We will wear only this and worship nature. That is, Birsa was the first to distance his people from all kinds of superstitions and declared the pure Vedic era rules, raising the slogan Abwa Disum Abwa Raj, meaning our land, our rule. Very quickly, all the tribals of Chotanagpur united to claim their rights over the forests. The foundations of the British government began to shake. The moneylenders, the landlords and feudal lords began to tremble in fear of the Ulgulan rebellion. The British government tried every possible way to suppress Birsa's Ulgulan rebellion, but they failed in the face of the guerrilla warfare waged by the Adivasis. Between 1897 and 1900, battles continued between the Adivasis and the British soldiers. Birsa and his followers made life extremely difficult for the British. Birsa was first arrested on August 24, 1830. He was arrested in 1895 and sentenced to 2 years in prison. After this, Birsa Munda was released in November 1897, after a total of 2 years and 12 days. When Birsa Munda was released from jail, about 25 people were standing there to welcome him. As we mentioned at the beginning, as soon as they saw Birsa Munda, they shouted the slogan, Victory to Birsa Bhagwan. After this, Birsa Munda said that none of you should call me God because in this struggle, we are all equal. This was Birsa Munda's first arrest. However, Birsa returned from jail as an even more staunch opponent. In the years 1898 and 1899, numerous night meetings were organized. In these meetings, Birsa Munda would talk about killing contractors, landlords, kings, officials, and Christians. He would also say that the enemy's guns and bullets would turn to water. Do not be afraid, my reign has begun. The rule of the government has ended. Their guns will turn into wood. Remove from the path those who wish to harm my rule. In these gatherings, effigies of the British nation were burned, and the Munda people would enthusiastically sing this song, Katok Baba Katok Sahib Katok Katok Ragi Katok Katok, which means Baba cut down the Europeans. Not only was this a song, but it also became a reality. In the year 1899 on Christmas Eve, Birsa and his companions attacked 6 police stations in the districts of Ranchi and Singhbum. They shot arrows in these areas and attempted to burn down churches. In January 1900, the Munda tribals targeted the police themselves, which created a wave of fear in Ranchi. Birsa Munda and his companions resorted to guerrilla warfare to take on the British. That is, Birsa Munda's Ulgulan, the Great Rebellion, had spread across 550 square kilometers of Chota Nagpur by 1900, and by that year, nearly 89 landlords' houses had been set on fire. As an example, the Munda tribal uprising had grown to such an extent that the district collector of Ranchi was forced to seek help from the army. The missionary priests had fled, and the agents of religious conversion had already left the area. The final and decisive clash between the British Army and Birsa Munda took place in January 1900 at Dombari Hill. On this hill, Birsa Munda was addressing a public gathering when British soldiers suddenly attacked. Nearly 6,000 Mundas, armed with bows, swords, axes, and other weapons, joined Birsa, but the British had guns and cannons. As a result, 400 Mundas were killed, but Birsa was not captured. At that time, the British government placed a reward of 500 rupees on Birsa's head, which was a large sum of money in those days. It is said that after a reward of 500 rupees was announced, people from the nearby villages of Manmaru and Jarikal joined in the search for Birsa Munda. On February 3rd, these people saw smoke rising from the forest to the west of Setra. When they went closer, they saw Birsa sitting there with his 2 swords and his wife for a while. Later, when Birsa fell asleep, these people captured him in that very state. He was brought to the deputy commissioner who was camping in Badgaon, and those who captured Birsa were given a cash reward of 500 rupees. The commissioner ordered that Birsa should not be taken to Chaibasa, but instead to Ranchi. As he was being taken to jail, Birsa made an appeal to the people, which is still sung today in Mundari folk songs. I am giving you my words. Do not throw them away. Cherish them in your home or courtyard. What I have said will never die. Ulgulal, Ulgulal. And these words can never be erased. They will continue to grow like grass that flourishes in the rains. All of you will grow as well. Never lose courage. Ulgulan will continue. In jail, Birsa was kept in solitary confinement. For 3 months, he was not allowed to meet anyone. He was only taken out of his cell for 1 hour each day to get some sunlight. One day, when Birsa woke up, he had a high fever and terrible pain all over his body. His throat had become so bad that even drinking a single sip of water had become impossible for him. Within a few days, he began vomiting blood. On June 9, 1900, at 9 o'clock in the morning, Birsa breathed his last. A doctor was called. He checked Munda's pulse, but it had already stopped. It was not just Birsa Munda who had died, but the god of the tribal Mundas had passed away. It is said that even though Birsa Munda died, an idea was born that defeat does not mark the end of struggle. It endures because humanity endures, because we endure. Arya Samaj pays its deepest respects to Birsa Munda.